The Rams lost on Sunday. The 49ers beat them 34-31, and the Rams' record is now 8-7. The Rams have been officially eliminated from playoff contention. The Rams have no chance of making the playoffs this year. Now, I want to remind you of something. I want to remind you of February 3rd, 2019. Does anybody know what happened on February 3rd? At the end of the season last year, on February 3rd, Sunday, February 3rd, 2019, the Rams lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. The Rams lost 13-3. And I want you to put yourself in Jared Goff's shoes. Jared Goff is the Rams quarterback. In fact, it doesn't really matter what Rams player. Just put yourself in the shoes or try to put yourself in the mind frame of a player that plays for the Rams after losing the Super Bowl. You work all off season. And then during the 2018 season last year, things go really well. You catch a few breaks. You have some incredible performances. And the NFL regular season ends. Then you play a whole extra month of football. You're playing more than other teams in the entire NFL. You win all the way through the playoffs. Finally, you get to your ultimate goal on February 3rd. Sunday, February 3rd, 2019. It's Super Bowl Sunday. You worked so hard to get here. This is a culmination of years. Years of effort have gotten you to this moment. Super Bowl Sunday, you're playing against the New England Patriots. You probably grew up watching Tom Brady as a kid. You're going to now play against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable. This is your dream. This is what you have always wanted. You have fought and fought and fought to get here. And then guess what? Your dream gets crushed. The Patriots beat the Rams, and the Rams lose. And you, a member of the LA Rams, have lost the Super Bowl. I go back to your dream. Your dream is crushed. The thing you've worked for years is taken away from you. That's painful. I mean, that's so brutal. How do you think the Rams felt on Monday, February 4th? After losing the Super Bowl, how do you think you'd feel? It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, man. Monday after losing the Super Bowl, you look in the mirror and you're like, man, getting to that game, getting to that moment, Super Bowl Sunday, getting there was one of the most difficult journeys I've ever been on in my entire life. That was such a painful, hard process to get there. And now it's the Monday after losing. Am I supposed to just go back to the weight room tomorrow and start the whole process over again? A year of my life? Years of my life, that whole process? Just restart that whole process? Let me tell you from personal experience, there's nothing more painful than the daunting thought of, oh my gosh, I got all the way here and I got to just restart the whole process after failing. Putting years of effort into your dream and then coming up short to fail? That Monday after the Super Bowl, after losing the Super Bowl, you just look in the mirror and you're like, where do I even begin? What do I do now? I'm a failure. And it's easy to say. You're listening to me talk and you're like, of course, if you're a member of the Rams, do it again. Go back to the weight room. It's Monday. Tuesday, you better be back in the weight room. Get back to work. But man, that's not how dreams work. That is not how fighting for a dream and fighting for a goal works. Call it a goal if you want. But I just want to say, if I'm sad that the Rams had to deal with Monday, February 4th, that crushing loss, and to look in the mirror and go, we didn't make it. We gave everything we had and we didn't make it. And it's part of the game. Losing, failure, it's part of the game. It's an important part. And it's incredibly valuable if you allow it to be. If you learn lessons from your failures, they're huge. They can really catapult you off into all kinds of positive stuff in your life. Now, personally, I would rather lose in the AFC Championship game or the NFC Championship game. I would rather not lose the Super Bowl. I'd rather lose the game to get into the Super Bowl because then I can try to get back to my dream. But if you get all the way to your dream and it's ripped away from you and you're like, man, oh my gosh, I gave it everything I had and then I lost. What a gut-wrenching experience. I just feel for the Rams. They gave it everything they could last year. And this year they fell short again. They didn't even make the playoffs. But here is the reality about losing the Super Bowl, though, that you may not understand, that I didn't even understand. Eight of the last 10 teams to lose the Super Bowl actually went to the playoffs the next year. I did not believe that. I didn't expect that at all. I started my research process. I said, no way. Teams that lose the Super Bowl probably don't even make the playoffs next year. No. Out of the last 10, 8 of them did. In fact, one of them, New England Patriots, lost the Super Bowl, and the very next year went back to the Super Bowl and won. You know, we talk all the time about the Super Bowl hangover. And I guess to some degree, yeah, like the grief is real. You lose the Super Bowl, the grief, losing that heart-wrenching experience of your dreams being crushed, that's a real thing. But here's the surprising reality about losing the Super Bowl. 2009, the Colts lost the Super Bowl. 2010, the next year, they made the playoffs. 2010, the Steelers lost the Super Bowl to the Packers. And the next year, 2011, they made the playoffs. In the 2011 season, the Patriots lost the Super Bowl, and in 2012, they made the playoffs the next year. 2012, the 49ers lose the Super Bowl. In 2013, they make the playoffs. 2013, the Broncos lost the Super Bowl to the Seahawks. They got embarrassed. And the next year, in 2014, they made the playoffs the year after. The Seahawks lost the Super Bowl in 2014. In 2015, the next year, they made the playoffs after that. Even the Falcons, in 2016, the Falcons in that season, the 2016 season, technically it was like February 2017, but in the 2016 season, the Falcons lost the Super Bowl. They had a horrible loss where they led the Patriots 28-3 and still lost the game. Even after that horrible loss, the following season, the Atlanta Falcons still made it into the playoffs. And then go back to that 2017 season, the Patriots lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles. And the next year in the 2018 season, they went back to the Super Bowl and they won. They beat the Rams. Here is the surprising reality about losing the Super Bowl. Only 2 teams of the last 10 losers of the Super Bowl didn't make it back to the playoffs the next year. I couldn't believe that. I was like, are you serious? That blows my mind. The Panthers lost the Super Bowl in the 2015 season to the Broncos. And that next year, they missed the playoffs. That's one of the teams that didn't make the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl. The Panthers went 6-10. They missed the playoffs. Then last year in the 2018 season, the Rams lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots, and this year they've missed the playoffs. But again, surprisingly, a shocking thing I did not believe, I didn't understand. Only 2 of the last 10 teams to lose the Super Bowl didn't make the playoffs the next year. That blows my mind. I had no idea. That is not a stat I believed I would have expected to find when I started the research process. But I do want to say one thing. The Rams gave it everything they had in the Super Bowl and they lost. And the next year, they've kind of fallen apart. They didn't make the playoffs. And in life, you want to I think it's important in life to make calculated risks. Don't give yourself to something if it's a lost cause, you have no chance to succeed. But you also cannot be afraid of failure. Losing hurts, but it's also a necessary part of the growth process in life. As a human being, losing is actually incredibly valuable if you allow yourself to learn from it. I'm an all-in kind of person. You know, I'm all in on Strong Opinion Sports. I love giving myself to everything. That's who I am. And I really believe when you find something worth fighting for, go all in. Go. It's better to go all in and fail than to leave what ifs out there. You go like, what if I'd done this or what if I'd done that? No, if you fail, I hope you can tell yourself, I did everything I possibly could to make that work and make that succeed. Giving everything you have and failing, that hurts a ton. It's really painful. The Rams experienced that last year. They gave everything they had. They lost in the Super Bowl. It hurts a ton, but there's a significant freedom in being able to say, if you can say, look in the mirror and say, I have no regrets. I gave it everything I could and I lost. I promise you, I think you'd rather be able to say that than say, I didn't give it everything I could. And there's, what if I'd done this or what if I'd done that? There's nothing wrong with giving everything you have to a cause that's worth fighting for. If you lose, I hope you're willing to lose. I hope you learn from that loss. But don't be afraid of failure. It's so important. The Rams, they haven't recovered from their Super Bowl loss, and that's sad to me. But that whole story, the Rams and losing the Super Bowl, it's a gut-wrenching. You give everything you have and you fail. And I just found it so fascinating and so enjoyable to do research about it and to talk about it. I was like, man, that's a process and a story I find incredibly compelling.